Alrighty, so now we've got our home page here, and we've got our button, and when we click it, things appear and disappear, which is great. When I click home, like let's say we go to the About page, like this. When I click home, nothing's, it goes home, but then this doesn't go away, right? And I don't really feel like clicking that twice. So what we're going to do is we're going to make that clicked function next. And this should be really, really simple. We're just going to say const clicked equals an anonymous function. It's not an anonymous function, it's called clicked. What am I talking about? Set is visible to false, right? Flays. There we go. And so now when that button here, no, the link, my link right here. Like that. And so now when the link is clicked, it should make this go away. So refresh the page here. When this pops down, I click on this and it goes away. Easy enough. Okay, cool. So now let's go ahead and we're going to add some other links here. But I do want to fix that, that button thing here. So again, we're going to end up making a button. It's going to be a new component. So it's going to be button.tsx and rfce, and that goes about like that. It's pretty straightforward. And we need to import our button. Great, which seems fine at first, like, okay, so now it exists. The problem is that our button does not, it's got some type errors, right? And so what it's really telling us is that we've got these children in here, and our button here does not have any space to put stuff inside of it, right? There's no way, there's no props, there's nothing else. There's no way of actually utilizing this. So that's what we're going to be working on here. This is really not a super complicated thing to be making ultimately, but we are going to eventually need to create an interface in order to move on with this. So, yeah, we don't actually even need to have the interface, I don't think, inside of the button. Yeah, we don't. Actually, there's a variety of ways we can write this. So we can actually do like export default function button, which is pretty cool. Let's get rid of this up here. Bye. And right there is obviously where we'll take our props. And what we're going to return is going to be, this is hilarious. You're going to be like, seriously, dude? Why did we do all this work? A button. And we're going to have, some props here. We'll call this just props. And we're going to use our props here. No. Props, about like that, right? So you pass it some props. Props is declared, but its value is never read. It probably just needs to be inside of, nope. That. So now we've got another problem. Parameter props implicitly has any type. So even if we were to just put in here any, right, which is, again, I've told you before, don't do that. But if we were to do this, how would we end up passing anything through? So again, we're going to go to our button. And now technically all of this is sort of set as props, but also not really, right? And so how are we going to go about getting the children here to work out? So let's, again, looking at how this goes. And actually, I did not end up writing it the way that I thought I did off the top of my head, but that's okay. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go back to our button. And outside of the function completely, we're going to have interface button props. I'm going to put children react node. And this is actually the most complicated part of this whole thing. The rest of this gets a lot easier. But react node. And so the children is going to be, this needs to be changed to button props. You can kind of see how this is working. Again, I've now said that whatever gets passed in is going to have some children, and those children are going to be specifically some React nodes. Next, we have class name. which is optional. We don't have to have a class name. And so this question mark here means that the class name is not required. So if we make a button, it has to have children. That's required. We can make that optional by doing this, but we want it to have children of some sort because otherwise there's nothing inside the button. It's not going to say anything. And that's not any use. This is going to be a string. And then lastly, we're going to have on click, which is also optional because it doesn't have to do anything when we click it, but we'll probably want it to. And this one is a little bit tricky. It's going to be an event. We have to tell it what type of event. So this is going to actually be a mouse event here. Obviously, there's keyboard event, there's mouse hover event, there's a couple other things. And there's a generic called HTML button element. And you don't need to necessarily know what that even is. And it's going to return void. And so what's nice about this is that, again, there's going to be an event. This is just like deep dive JavaScript because you should look into what events are in JS if you haven't already. But essentially, when we're clicking, we're anticipating an event will occur, and that event will return void, or we could also do any here. Either one of those would work out. I left it at void. But essentially, this onClick thing is going to make a function happen when it is clicked. And so this is basically how we write React deep under the hood. OnClick equals, and we're going to do props.onClick. And then we're going to have class name equals props.className. And then we have the props.children in the middle. And now you can see that our nav bar is fine and happy. We're using that button, and if we go back over here, it should, once it loads, wake up, we should be able to pop this down, and we should be able to click this, and it should send us home. So that's working just fine now, and that is a little bit of what's going on under the hood. Again, we've used an interface to say the shape of the data getting passed into our props should at least include children, if not also class name and onClick. And now we can use this button anywhere else that we want to in our code, which we will end up doing some more of. So let's go ahead and check out some of these other ones. So now we got that first button. Back to the nav bar. We got some more of these. They're going to be very similar. The styling is going to be exactly the same. So we can actually just copy this whole button thing here and do this 2 more times. And this one, instead of to home, we'll have about. I'm going to put about here. And the next one we'll have is to the dashboard. And this will say dashboard. And let's add one more in here. And this one, you can actually make new routes if you use this link thing, which is pretty entertaining. It will just generate new routes for you, which is neat. So come back here, refresh, drop down, and now we got these. You can go to contact, and it doesn't have anything to say here because we didn't make the page, but it will send you to the page. And so, but now we can go to the dashboard, which is great. You can either navigate this way by clicking home or again up at the top there. And so we're pretty well set basically for this. Eventually we're going to have a login and sign out, but we haven't got everything in place for that yet. We need to build our authentication stuff for that before we get too farther. But yeah, so there you go. So navbar, drop down, and clicked functions. And now I think that looks pretty nice. I think that works just fine. And let's finish out this video by kind of fleshing out that home component, which really shouldn't be all that much to do here, and then we'll wrap this video up. But we don't want it to just say home. We want it to actually kind of look nice. So we can go to Unsplash, and we can just look for, you know, like mountains or something. I think this looks nice to me. I'm going to download it for free. Thank you. I'm not going to do that though. All right, and then what I will end up doing, I'm going to pull this up on my Finder under my downloads. Just really come back here, and inside of assets, I'm going to put this in there. I'm going to rename this to mountains.jpg. That's fine. And I'm going to be able to go back to my home.tsx. And before my function, I'm going to say import background from, and I'm going to do, I'm going to go to assets, and I'm going to do slash, and then that should be mountains.jpg, and that should be fine. I might need to put this in a folder called images. Might be better off. Now, why are we not importing? I can't find module. It's not a module, silly. Let's go ahead and see where we can get here. So, style equals, I know I've said before, don't use style, but we can use style here. It's just an easy way of doing this. Should be about like that. Again, I'm not totally sure why we're not able to. Can I undo the rename? Do I have to do this way, really? Man. Copy relative path. Do as I say. You're still not finding it. That's kind of odd to me. What did I do last time? It's under public? No. Source assets. It's the right place. Do I need to change? All right, give me a second. All right, cool, figured it out. So what we need to do is, and it doesn't matter where you put this, but you need a mountain.d.ts. And so this is actually going to be like D is for declare and then TS is for TypeScript. We have to declare it as a module. That was the error that it was throwing earlier. We're just going to say the const value is any. This is an opportunity where using any is fine because it's an image, it's a little bit weird. And then we're just going to export default it. And basically this is just telling TypeScript like it's okay to use things that aren't normal JavaScript or TypeScript types. And so we're going to be able to use those mountains there. We're coming back here. Again, we've got the background image is that URL. And we're going to also want to do class name equals, I'm going to put in here a whole bunch of stuff, frankly. Actually, let's clean this up. I'm going to put this down a level, put this down a level, and then we're going to take this like that, put you on a new line of your own, and we're going to fix that home thing in a second too. But for a class name, we're going to have flex row, justify center, mx auto, bg-cover, bg.fixed, and I think that should be pretty much it. Yeah. And so now we should see, it should look a little different. So again, we got home is in the middle now, so that's nice. You can see that the image is there. You've got this gradient there. You can see that the image exists, and that's all groovy. But then instead of home, we're going to put in another div here. And this div is going to have class name, flex, place, items, center, and the height will be the screen size. And this should now show us basically the full thing. So there's a whole image, there's our whole background. That's really nice. And again, we can do more detailed work on this. If you don't like the colors of it, you can change it. It really does not bother me at all. But again, that background is fixed as well, so everything else moves. The background stays in place. This is a nice picture. And then we're going to put in here, we're going to have an H3, and this will say, welcome to the phone book. empty, right? But lo and behold, it's in the wrong spot. Or actually, it's just really hard to read there. It's fine where it is. It's just not very visible. So we're going to make a nice little class name. It's going to be equal to P5, so we give it some padding, right? So it's still invisible because we can't see it yet. That's fine. So give it some padding. We're going to do BG white, which is fine, but then it's going to be this really obvious punching me right in the eyeballs thing. And so we're going to do background opacity 25. So that's groovy. So now we got a little bit more of that, and I think it says text black here, but it's already defaulting black. We're just gonna be explicit, text black. That should be fine. Here you go. So that looks nice. I might actually do rounded, and then we get a little bit more, we get a little bit of softer look there. So that's cool. Actually, I might do 50 instead. Let's see if that looks a bit better. Yeah, that's nicer to me. So cool. Not the greatest styling in the world, but again, we're learning here, and now you've learned the tools, and if you don't like what I've done, you can make yours better, and that would be just fine with me. I'm not sure what that picture is, but there's things about it that look very familiar to me. Anyways, cool. So there we go. So there's our homepage there, and we're at about 15 minutes of recording. So that's another video. Now we got a homepage working, and next we got to figure out how to get our other pages, particularly our dashboard is going to be the interesting one. That's going to take a bit of work. Oh, you know what? Actually, I think let's fix this too. I just realized that that's a problem. I don't want the link to be what I click on. I think what I want is, well, yeah, it's fine. We'll just leave it like that. Yeah, so the problem that I'm having is that, again, when we click on this, if you click on the outside of the button, nothing happens. But if you click on the actual thing, then it does change, or on the text. But we can figure that out some other time. All right. Anyways, next thing we're gonna do, we've got some other pieces of our components that we're gonna put together. We're gonna start putting together the dashboard, and that's gonna be where we get an API and some other really interesting stuff. It should be pretty fun. Should be pretty groovy. We're gonna make some real progress there. So I'll see you there.